Before you start following this video, remember to activate BSurfaces and the F2 add-on in Blender Preferences. For this project, think paper mache. Remember how you took strips of newsprint, added the gooey flour paste and plastered them to a balloon or other mold to make your first homemade puppets? No? Well, I made lots. The BSurfaces takes a bit longer, but it's a lot less mess or sticky. You will end up with a low poly version of the high poly model you need to finish texturing. To accompany this short video, since the work is automatic and repetitious, the video comes with a transcript and photo stills of the Blender screens you need most to worry about. It is the setup that matters. If you do not set up your options correctly or set them up out of order, you grow annoyed quickly. Blender updates require method changes, and this process involves several for some builders who do not often work with repotology. So stop and start as needed. Be patient with yourself. Be sure you don't need to translate, move, your high poly model or plane, soon to become a low poly model. Instead, change your views with the number pad or rotate the floor. This slide shows you how to prepare the high poly model to be wrapped. There is nothing to it, but I would be sure it was named properly in the outliner, so you don't get it mixed up with the low poly version later. The plane that will becomes the low poly version needs to be added while in object mode. The two models are never joined. Layered but not joined. Add plane but be careful about how you proceed after that. If you set all of your options up before you go to edit mode, you may find yourself stuck. You will not be able to scale or move the plane to a place where you want to start the plastering process. So add the plane and enter edit mode right away. Then you can start your steps, including the modifier. And don't apply the shrink wrap modifier. Just let it set there in the modifier panel. So now you are in edit mode. Be sure you have taken the following steps in this order shown on the slide. 1. Shrink wrap. 2. Grease pencil. You are choosing the grease pencil now so that it works solely with the plane like a modeling tool. Instead of extruding. It is going to extrude for you. Good. Right? 3. Be sure to edit the grease pencil for your choice of color, select object and surface. Because you connected the plane to the high poly model in shrink wrap, your objects are communicating. 4. See the lower toolbar. Click the magnet, face element, and snap to the other object. Be sure proportional editing is not on. If you find that your tools aren't working like they should, no problem, just go back and set them again, particularly the grease pencil. You won't know for sure until you manually extrude your first line of faces going left to right, extrude right edge of each face. Be careful not to extrude too many faces so that you can control the bend and bumps in your model. The angle of your stoke matters, and the BSurface grease pencil is very forgiving, but practicing the roll may cause you to slow down until you feel comfortable with the process. This first row of faces is done manually as shown in the slide. Hint: these faces are turned a bit too far up due to the topology of the model. Flatter is better, but don't fuss too much. The faces like paper are going need to turn and bend as they follow your grease pencil lines. It will work out best to let your modeling slowly develop around the high poly model. Finally, you get to see your hard-working magic. Push the Add Surfaces button to see faces automatically appear. Don't despair. If you look at them with wireframe and select all, highlighted, they will be there. Don't do another thing until you adjust your follows as you desire. This is a modeler's decision. How many faces will fulfill your modeling needs? It will flex, bend, easier with more faces, but less faces will usually do. You are depending on texture maps to fake the high poly detail, not the form you are creating. But still, you do need it be in a like form to make the conversion come together. So now you are on your own. Repeat the process to cover the entire model with a reasonable number of faces, before resorting to manual work. The next few slides will show you how I worked through this piece of rockish ball to build the LoPoly model. I did not spend a lot of time on it. It is not a piece of art or even a story-building asset. It is a showing process model. It is not uncommon for the BSurfaces editor not to show up. It only appears when you click Add Surface to your grease pencil lines. And even then it won't appear to open unless everything is set up correctly and you look to your operator window, usually located in the menu below the tool shelf where your BSurfaces resides. You won't need to edit the crosses or the stretch. You will want to edit your follows. The follows adjustment is determined by how many polys you can live with. The final part of the process, the manual editing, takes the longest period of time to do well. Quads are preferred, clean triangles could work, but n-gons should be avoided. Use the subdivide tool to remedy buckling faces. Delete whatever faces are giving you too much problem. It does not take much extra time to fill a face, particularly if you are using the F2 add-on. Check to see that your faces are building a model. To do this, unview, hide, the original high poly and look at what you have. Use wireframe and choose select all. Fill in carefully whatever faces you can and then start filling. Also be sure your normals are facing the outside of your model. If the normals are flipped the wrong way, flip them to the outside. No problem. It happens often. You can select the suspect faces one by one or with the C selection tool. When you are finished with your model, do not delete the high poly version. You will need it later for creating maps and texturing. The maps will add to your new low poly version the illusion of all the detail you added during the sculpt or modeling process. The lovely form you just built with the poly strips is where you apply those maps. Now you can return to the unwrapping and texturing process for the low poly model you are actually going to import to OpenSim.